All right, we're back in the barn. We were talking, and the previous video covered the dates between August 16th and September 20th. I had decided what I was going to do, and I'd laid out a plan to do it. And I broken it into two halves. Learning technique, and then developing strength. Because I didn't really have the time to actually build muscle. I had to go with what I had. So early on, I realized, like as soon as I had signed up for the meet, that the current record for the deadlift, which was the only one that was really concerning me, was 425 pounds. So I wanted to beat it by 5 pounds. And I don't have that much weight. At the time, I only had about 315 pounds, and I knew I needed more. So I went and I bought some plates off of Facebook, drove to Dallas, got them from a nice guy, and he was great. Brought the plates back on the day that I did my first deadlift, which was August 31st. The rack was supposed to ship on 9/9, and I called them a week after that on 9/14 and said, hey, 9/16, said, hey, when's this thing going to ship? Very nice lady at Titan. I've had nothing but good things to say about them so far. Said that the one part of it was coming in the third week of September, and the second part, they would still need some parts, and they wouldn't be there until the last week of September, and that the parts would absolutely ship in the last week of September, and they absolutely did. The rack shipped from Titan on the 2 boxes on September 25th and September 26th, and one went to Ellenwood, Georgia, FedEx at Ellenwood, Georgia, and the other one went to, I forget now where it went, but it went to another place in Atlanta. Both of them got lost. Both of them were supposed to be sent to the distribution center in Estelle. One of them made it and then got lost, and the other one never left Ellenwood. It's still there for all I know. And this is the 23rd, October 20, might be the 22nd. I don't know. Days don't have a lot of meaning to me most of the time. It's lost. So I'm going to go through this process, and I'm never going to do a real squat. Not what I would call a real squat, because the racks never appeared. And that was to do to do squat, but I also knew that I had to get out of the dirt. I had to get out of the dirt, and I needed somewhere to do deadlifts without uneven floors and everything right. So I built a platform out of 2 horse mats that I already had, and 5 sheets of plywood. I bought 4 sheets of 5/8 inch OSB and 1 3/4 inch piece of plywood that matched the depth of the horse stalls. So once I got the deadlift platform built, at least I could practice that with some regularity. Now I had my weights that I needed. I had the deadlift platform. I'm ready to go on deadlift and for bench press. So I got 2 out of 3 of the events covered. Now, to be honest, I'm pretty happy with that at that point. Anyway, we're moving forward in the deadlift, and it becomes very apparent very quickly that my hands are simply not strong enough, and they're not going to get strong enough to be able to go forward. My fat man hangs are helping, but I'm at 350 pounds, and I can't hold the bar. So I go online and I look, and I see what a hook grip is. So I come and I try to do what a hook grip does, and I'll be damned if it doesn't feel like I'm ripping my thumbs slap off, that the entire weight is being held up by my thumbs. And I assume I'm doing it wrong. I don't know. Everybody says, oh, keep going, it's going to get better. Screw that. I like my thumbs attached to my hands. So I looked at I don't know what it's called, but it's the alternate grip, and that stopped the bar from rotating out of my hands. No more problems holding up the bar with deadlift. So as a lesson learned, if you're fat and old and your hands are effectively arthritic, you're not going to be able to do that. So alternating grip, it worked fine. The fact that my bar is 100% chrome and has just almost no knurling on it, that's a contributing factor too. When I finally made it to the meet and I felt the deadlift bar, I was like, holy smokes, I've got so much more grip on this thing. It was fantastic. So another lesson learned, I'm going to need a deadlift bar if I get up any farther, because this one it's just slippery. There's no other way to put it. Bench press, I didn't really have any problems. I'd already been doing bench press for 5 or 6 weeks at that point. I'd already gotten to where I was maxing about 265, 270, and that's a calculated max. I did not max out ever. I was going online and using those strength formulas to figure out where I was, because I don't want to risk tearing anything. I don't want to do above 85, 90% ever unless it's in a meet. Because like I said, my body, when you're older, you just don't heal as fast. It's not a question of can you do it or are you afraid. It's that the results are so catastrophic when you do hurt yourself, because now you're down for 2, 3, 4 months if you really get hurt. And we'll get really hurt here in a minute. But bench press was no problem. I was getting to where I could touch and go at the end of the 3-week heavy program, 290, and I bet I could have done 300 if I had tried it at the end. But when it came time to set my weights for my first lifts and my subsequent lifts, I didn't go there. And I'll talk about that more when I start talking about the pause at the bottom. I didn't know that was a thing until the final 2 weeks of the training, and it scared the hell out of me. So then we move on to my real problem, and it wasn't the fact that I couldn't train squats, because what I did was I turned the top of my bench press around, raised the bar up as high as I could go, and by diving forward and being way off balance, I was able to get my head under it, roll it back, and I could adjust it, and then I could do that. But I couldn't do that with any real weight. The most that I felt comfortable doing that with, when it was just my wife and I, was 270 pounds. Well, that was easy. I could do 270 10 times probably without even breaking a sweat. But when I tried to get a heavier weight and I leaned forward on it, it felt like I was just going to fall over when I took it off the rack, off the bench press rack. And so I couldn't do that because I couldn't bring my feet up under me. There was a bar there on the bottom of the ground, and so my toes were way behind my shoulders, and I had to sort of hit it to get it to come off. Dangerous, super dangerous. So what happened was we moved forward in time, and about the 5th week, my wife, who's helping me take the weight off the bench, says, "You're not going low enough." And I said, "I'm not?" She says, "No, you're not going low enough." I'm sorry, it was the 4th week. And I said, "Well, video it." So she breaks out the video. And for 4 weeks, I've been doing squats at this point, and I doubt that I'd ever reach depth a single time. And I was concerned because I was going down as far as I could. I didn't have the mobility to get to depth on a squat. And I was like, damn, have I wasted all this time? And I decided no. So I put the 270 back on the bar, got it off, and it wasn't videoed. But what I did was I went to the bottom, to the hole, and I pulled myself lower. It wasn't a let the weight push you lower or anything. I was stopped. That's as far as I can go. And I used I guess it was my hamstrings, I don't know. Whatever muscle I needed to pull me lower, I did it until my wife, Laura, said, there you are, you're there. At first, it felt okay. And I went forward. By the time I got into the house, there was just shooting pains in both of my hips. I don't know what I did. I don't know if it's knocking away scar tissue or if I had something on the balls of the sockets that I knocked off, a piece of cartilage. I have no idea. I don't know if it was loosening ligaments or stretching muscles. I don't know. But by the time I'd finished a set of 6, actually achieving depth by pulling myself down, I set the bar back on the rack and I walked inside and I barely made it. Pain was bad and it didn't go away. 10 days after I did that, I couldn't walk to the mailbox and back. It shut down all the squats. I couldn't do anything else. And so week 4, that one set at 270 was the last time I actually did sets of squats. I was able to do deadlift after that, but it hurt like hell. And I was really looking forward to the week of rest that I was going to get. Bench press obviously was not an issue. After about 10 days, my hips started loosening up, but I'm only about 10 days away from the meet at this point. And I am not going to go into the meet and not hit my numbers. The record was only 260. I knew I could beat that doing whatever I wanted to do. So what I did was I set up my own little mini meet. And when I went outside to do my mini meet, I was going to do what I wanted to do for my openers on all 3 events. I wanted to make sure I could get to depth on my squats. Now, I should back up just a hair here. I had been doing unweighted to depth squats everywhere. Every time that I had an opportunity, I was going to depth and coming back up. And I was trying to manage the pain. The pain never stopped. I've still got it to this moment. But I was managing that pain. If I don't work out, then it's gonna heal, and that's really what it needs is time. But it didn't have time. The clock is ticking, and I hurt myself on, I don't know, it was the 25th or something like that of September. So 10 days after that, and then I was just doing squats, air squats, just trying to make sure that I could maintain that depth. Then back to where I was, the mini meet. So deadlift was already set up when I came out here, and I was like, all right, let's hit our openers for deadlift. I had gotten up to every plate I owned, including the 2 new ones that I'd bought, and that was 404 pounds. Pulled it 9 times that day. I can hit my deadlift opener at 385, no problem. But the record is 430. I literally can't get there from here with the weights I've got. I've got to trust myself that I'm going to be able to get that number. That's the only one that scared me. The record was 221 on the bench press. Well, I'm working out with significantly more than that. But I planned on opening at 270, then going 280 and 290. But when I got under 260 and I paused at the bottom, when I learned about the pause, I had a real problem starting back up. And it scared me. So I lowered my start starting first set, first openers. Lowered my opener to 260, and I did 265, 270, because I wasn't worried that I was going to be able to set that record. And I assumed that if I didn't go all out in the bench and the squat, then I'd have a little more power left, or a little more in the tank for the deadlift. So now it comes to squat, and I've got my son-in-law and my son with me, and we put 310 pounds on the bar. And with their assistance, we got it off and got it on my shoulders. Now, I haven't tried a squat. Well, that's not true. I tried it the week before in week 5 and just failed completely. I got the bar maybe a tenth of the way down, and my hip was screaming at me, and the three of us had to struggle to get it back on the bench. But 310, tried it again, easy. So I was like, all right, I can do 330. And that was the weight that I started with for my openers. And so I'd done my mini meet, I'd got my openers, and now it's time to compete. In 5 days. 5 days. I did the mini meet 5 days before the open on the 12th. And we'll talk about the state meet the next time.